Now our next transaction is of 7 January and it says that Mr. Mubarak paid all previous balance by giving us cash and he has paid us 40,000 in cash. Now who is Mr. Mubarak? He is our customer, and if you check the customer details, we have the Mubarak balance of 40,000. So he is clearing all of this balance. Now since it is our customer, this kind of transaction is a trading transaction because we are receiving the payment against the inventory that we have sold, right? So under the customer section, I'll go to the receive payment option. Just click on that and I'm receiving the amount from Mubarak. Now, as soon as you select the customer, you will see all the pending invoices from that customer. For this one, we only have one, and that is the opening balance. If we check directly here, it will be considered that he is paying all the amount by default. So under the payment, it will automatically put 40,000. If we are receiving the partial settlement, we will enter the amount manually here, and we will make the adjustment on how underpayment will be treated. So in this case, he is clearing all the balance. So just uncheck and check again to see the 40,000 here. And the transaction is of 7 January, right? So let's put 7 January here. The reference number, you can write anything here. And we are receiving the payment in cash. So let's click on save and new for now, because I have to show you the journal entry effect at the back end. The journal entry should be cash debit and account receivable credit. Let's enter and let's go back to check the entry. Go back from here. I'll click on the reports and click on the transaction journal to see the backend effect. Now just hide the unnecessary fields. And now it's showing undeposited funds as debit and account receivable credit. This should be cash, right? But by default, QuickBooks takes all the ledgers from the received payments to undeposited funds. And that's very beneficial when you are accumulating all the checks from the customer, let's say, and you directly deposit in bank after a day or after a week. So in that case, you can easily count on that. You will see all the checks here. Just directly check and deposit it as a single amount in bank. So it will be very helpful even for the final reconciliation. It's very manageable. So after that, let's say this, if this is a check, you can just check it here, click OK and deposit it in the specific bank. But in this case, I'm receiving it by cash. I want to keep it in cash. So undeposited funds to cash will be transferred. Save and new. And now if we go to the previous transaction, I can see this is settled. And if we check the journal entry directly from here, it will be cash debit and undeposited funds credit. That's perfect. But this option is mainly used where you have the check based transaction and you want to deposit it in bank after some days. So it's useful for reconciliation. But let's say that you own a very small business in which you mostly do all the transactions by cash and you want to keep it in cash. You don't want the bank transactions. So in that case, I don't want it to first go in undeposited funds and then settle it separately. I just want it to directly go in cash account. You can also do that. And that's very simple to do. First of all, let's delete both of these transactions. If you cannot see the delete option on the top of any area, either right click to see the option or you can go to the edit menu to delete it. You can also use the Control D shortcut. So let's use Control D, click OK. This transaction is removed. We also have to remove the receive payments from here. Press Control D here, click OK. And I'll show you the other method from scratch. So I'll go to the edit and preferences because we want to enable the option so that it will ask you to receive the payment in which account directly on the main tab. So I'll go to the payments and under the company preferences, this option is checked. There's use deposit fund as a default deposit to account. That means it will not ask you, it will directly put it in undeposited fund. I don't want that. I want him to ask me. So uncheck this and click OK. Make sure that all the open windows are closed. Otherwise this option won't change like I told you before in the earlier videos. So click OK to make the changes. Refresh the reports, click no or okay, yes, let's say click OK and go to the home tab again. Now if you remember, we have completely removed that entry, so we have to enter it again. Mr. Mubarak paid all previous balance by cash. That's great. I'll go to receive payments and I'll choose Mubarak here, and he's settling our cash in 7 January 2024, and I want it to be deposited directly into the cash. I want it to deposit to cash. So now we can see a separate tab here which will ask you to deposit to which area. So this is great. I'll choose cash here, deposit to cash, and just check the amount. Now it's showing me that we have a credit amount. I think we have deleted all the transactions. Let's choose Mubarak again. Now sometimes you need to mention 40,000 here as well. Deposit to cash, and let's mention 1002. Maybe it's conflicting it with the entry number. Once one entry number is used, you cannot reuse it sometimes. So save and close, and now we are able to enter it. So 40,000 is settled, right? We will also check the Mubarak ledger so to make sure that there is no mistake in it. But let's go to the reports and transaction journal now. Now it will show you the entry we want, and that is cash debit and receivable credit. So go to the reports and click on transaction journal, and we are able to see this entry, the straightforward entry, which is cash debit and account receivable credit. If you want to print it and put it in records, you can use this one, and we are good to go. The only thing that we need now is to check the overall transactions of the customer. So just go to the customer section from here and make sure that the Mubarak balance is 0 here. Show it by all transactions, all filters, and all dates. So you should be able to see only 2 entries. That is, one is payment and one is invoice. So everything looks good, and this is how you can receive the customer payments in QuickBooks.